Oh, good evening, and welcome to the Codcast. My name's Andrew Snaith. Welcome to half an hour of Whitby Town, and I'm very pleased to say that the Whitby Town manager, Harry Dunn, is on the line. Good evening, Harry.
Good evening, Andrew.
Nice to have you with us as always, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, the result didn't go our way in Guiseley on Tuesday night. Do you think possibly that was maybe more to do with the fact that we've had a lot of games in a short space of time and quite a few long trips as well?
Well, I wouldn't like to put it down to that, Andrew. I think sometimes you've got to give a bit of praise to the opposition. I think guys are a good team. I was still happy overall the way we played. I was a little bit disappointed the way we conceded the goals, obviously, but the travelling really shouldn't bother our lads. I think it was just one of them nights where perhaps the better team won on the night. Okay,
Harry, and as you say, Guiseley certainly no mugs and probably a very strong bet for a playoff place.
Well, I would have thought so. I think, you're looking at Guiseley, for it be obviously Bradford, probably Retford, and then I think, I think any one of those five or so, and then perhaps somebody else in among them all as well could sneak in, and I'm hoping it's going to be us. No, I think they've got some good players, and the formation, I think the way Steve, the manager, sets them up makes it difficult to play against. But as I say, I was still happy the way we played. Just a bit disappointed with the goals, Andrew.
Okay, Harry, and of course we'll be talking to the captain, Tony Hackworth, later on in the show. He's certainly a man in form, isn't he?
Oh, Tony's a quality player. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's not only that, he's a quality person as well. On top of that, which is extremely important for any captain of any team. He leads by example, not only with the way he plays, but the way he conducts himself. And as I say, as regards football and ability, I think he's playing beneath himself.
You reckon he could get back into the Football League?
I would think he could do. I think he'd be realistic himself, Tony, and saying he's obviously not going to play in the Premiership or the Championship. But I think you've just got to look at his movement. He's extremely strong with his back to goal. He's got a lovely touch on the ball. He scored 2 cracking goals on Saturday down at Buxton. We're delighted he's settled into his job and he's settled with Whitby. But I think we're quite fortunate to have Tony, because he really is a good quality player.
Absolutely, Harry. And as you mentioned there, he's got 12 goals already this season. And as he reminded me earlier on, it would have been 13 if it hadn't been for the Kings Lynn problems. But yeah, and how pleasing is it to see that he's added the goal scorer into his game, which was perhaps something that had been lacking.
Well, I can remember when we played down at Scarborough, a couple of years ago in the Conference North when Scarborough was still in it, and we played them twice, obviously, in the league, and Tony played against us twice then, and he was playing up front then, and the rumour we heard was that he, for all he was a front runner, he didn't score goals. And I think earlier, perhaps when we lost Bruno, when we let Bruno go, one of the reasons for letting Bruno go was to give Tony a run in the side up front, because just looking at the way he played and his shooting ability and whatever, I felt he was always going to score goals. But I think what you've got to do, Andrew, is you've got to play somebody in a position. I mean, to be fair to Tony, he did come to me and say, look, if we're ever struggling, I can play up front, and we knew that. But if you're going to give somebody a run in the team, you give them a run in the team in the position they're playing at, and you give them a run. You can't just say, well, we'll have a look at a game or two, and if they don't score, we'll revert to something else. You've got to give them half a dozen games. I think when you say that to a player and say, look, you've got half a dozen, 8 games to get settled in and see if you can get us a couple of goals, it puts them at rest, and it gives them a little bit of confidence to say, well, if things aren't going so clever, at least I'm not going to be out the side or out of the position. So you do try and give lads as long as possible to settle into the position they're happy at.
I noticed that there was only 3 players on the bench on Saturday at the Buxton game. Is Ben Esquit still a part of our squad?
Yes, he's signed for Gisborne, and basically they've asked if they can have him for a few games, which we've agreed to. So he's going to get some good match practice in then. I mean, obviously we had Alec Gildea, Liam Gildea suspended, but I mean, the way the financial situation is at the club at the minute, we're hoping to run as long as possible with 16 in the squad. I'm sure if we get a little bit farther down the line and we start getting closer and closer to a playoff spot, and we feel we need a player or two, I'm hoping we can go out and get them. But at the minute, because of the lads that are playing, are doing exceptionally well, and I feel it would be quite wrong to bring somebody into the squad and put them in front of the people that are sitting on the bench, because we've got David, we've got Carl, we've got Kev Burgess, and obviously Alice Gildea was on the bench on Tuesday night, so that's really our squad. So before we actually look for somebody else, it's either got to be through an injury or suspensions and what have you. But I feel just the way we're going at the minute, we're playing very well, so we're going to give all these lads the chance first to keep it going.
Okay, Harry, and I presume if we do get to a playoff at the end of the season, that we may well have a substitute goalie on the bench just in case.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean that would be a minimum requirement. You've got to do that. I mean at the minute, I think we're like a lot of teams. It's very difficult, to ask somebody to travel all over the north of England really to sit on the bench, because in fairness, as you saw again the other night, Cammy got man of the match against Guiseley. He's playing exceptionally well, and lads aren't daft, Andrew. They know they're just going to sit on the bus for. I think we set off at I certainly set off at 9:15 on Saturday, and I got home at 20:10.
It's a long day.
It is a long day, and if you ask somebody to travel to spend that amount of time away from home, and don't forget that you work Monday to Friday. It's one of two things. It's either obviously a chance of playing, or we're paying them very good money to do it. And in Ben's case, obviously, we'd be going with Cammy, and the money wouldn't exactly compensate for the amount of time he's spending away from home, and he's desperate to play because he hasn't played very much lately.
And also, of course, it's important for him to get some football under his belt. I suppose that if he does have to come in for Dave Campbell suddenly, then at least he's had that practice.
Well, that's right. Yeah, you did right there. It's we always say you can shuttle players around all over the shop. I mean, you can play wingers in midfield or up front, or full backs can go into midfield or centre back. But where do you put a goalkeeper in goal?
I think I have seen Ben Escritt play up front, actually, back in the day.
I believe he's quite tidy outfield. I mean, believe it not, Paul Farman, the goalkeeper at Gateshead, actually played outfield for us at Burscough last game of the season, and did very, very well. He's a good outfield player as well.
Yeah, I've seen Ben Escritt play up front, and I've also seen Cammy play up front as well. I have seen him come on as a sub up front at Fleetwood. I promise you, Harry, I saw it with my own eyes. He came close as well. Actually, he had a shot tipped over at the end.
I think most lads, goalkeepers are a breed apart. They like to play out, and funnily enough, they like to score goals because they know what it's like to concede them. So, Ben's it's something we might. To be perfectly honest, it might be something we might have a look at for next season, where we maybe get somebody like Ben who will come in not only as second choice keeper but also as part of the squad.
You never know. So it's official. We may well see Ben Escritt outside at some point.
It could possibly be, yes.
There you go. Heard it here first on the Codcast. Now, as always, Harry, I've always throw the floor open to our supporters. I've got a couple of questions for you. First of all, from Tone. He says there's quite an age range in the Whitby Town team. What's the youngest age you consider for a player, and what's the oldest age you consider for a player?
Put it this way, Andrew, there's no age limit for anybody who ever plays for me. The one thing I look at is ability, and that's it. And if they're good enough, we can organise them. We can make them. We can get them fitter. We can make them into a more, how can I say, hopefully intelligent player, because you've got to do that as well. If they're not good enough, doesn't matter whether they're 16 or 66, they're not good enough. But if they're good enough and they're 16 to 66, they'll play. It's as simple as that. I think once you go to a football match, Andrew, you never look to see how old people are. You just look to see whether they're good enough. So age has never been a barrier.